Alright, wait. Is that good? Okay, cool. Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing Team Kings of Games. I'm sorry I'm so late. I just got off at 1 o'clock. I was only supposed to do a morning shift, but I ended up picking up a night shift from somebody that didn't show up to work. So I'm just not getting home. Sorry, you guys. It's going to be a late night upload. For those of you who were expecting it earlier, sorry, man. But I'm going to be showcasing you guys my going second True Draco list. This deck is hardcore going second, and it does it very well. I really didn't care what I played. Draco is already probably, I'd say it's the best like stun deck, even though I don't play it necessarily that way. I mean, you can call it stun, I guess, if you want, but you're not gonna see a billion floodgates in here like anti-spell. There can only be one rivalry, goes in match. You know, a bunch of cards like that, summon limits and all that stuff. And I mean, you know, they lock you out of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And they're unfair, which is totally fine. I'm not opposed to unfair. You know, you have to be unfair to win Yu-Gi-Oh! In fact, in order to beat unfair, you have to be unfair. I mean, I'm just saying, like, in order to beat unfair, you have to literally be unfair. So I'm not knocking, you know, the floodgate deck, but I just feel like there's only one floodgate that I like in Dracos. There's only one, and it's just Erupt, and it's the only one that I play. Even going second, it's really good. But like I play reactive Dracos, so there's reactive and proactive, and I'm not opposed to proactive, but I just think every Draco player plays proactive. And if you understand what I mean by that, you'll get my drift. But almost every Draco player I know is a proactive player. Even the one at our locals, like he just literally, it's like not even Dracos that wins. Like he'll have no Dracos and he just has a bunch of floodgates, and the deck's so slow, and I don't really like that. So my deck, I wanted to make it turbo. It's pretty gas. It's really good at breaking boards. It even has cheesy little combos. Like people were really underestimating Amano Iwata, which I played 3 of when we get there. But Amano Mystic Mine is probably one of the most gratifying feelings ever, where your opponent literally can't negate the Mystic Mine unless they have a counter trap. But Amano turns off the rest of their negates. So like if you play Pendulum and they have Divine Strike and you open a Amano plus a Terraforming and a Mystic Mine, and I play 5 ways to get to Mystic Mine. Like, it's so sad. Or if you open, like, I played, one time I opened Amano, Dark Ruler No More, and Mystic Mine. It's sad. Like, you can negate the Dark Ruler No More, and I'll just, like, activate a Mystic Mine. It's just so sad. So, yeah, there's, like, some cheesy 2-card combos, but I like them because you're staring at a board with, like, Vortex, Endymion, Jackal King, Don Dragster, Borreload Savage, and you're like, Amano, Mystic Mine. Like, all those negates don't mean anything now, and Mystic Mine stays up. Like, it's so good. Amano stays up. He can't go back because that effect activates. And while he's face up on the field, he has a continuous. It just says monster effects. Like, it's like a double lock. I really like it. That was one of the cool aspects of my deck, was Amano Mystic Mine got me a lot of my games. But the deck is really effective at breaking boards. We know Draco's really good against back row decks. It kind of struggles against combo decks. That's why I built it the way I did, to not struggle against combo decks. But this deck has really no bad matchup. The only countermeasure I wanted to put something in for was for Abyss Dweller, but a lot of people weren't making it. But I do have countermeasures in mind for that. Honestly, even if they Dweller, you can still like mine and Ruler No More and stuff like that. But let's go ahead and hop into the list. That's enough rambling. We played 3 copies of Amano Iwata. Rocky Boy's back. I don't care about Inspector Border. I don't even want to hear like why Inspector Border is better, because, you know, if you feel that way, that's fine. More power to you, but I think Rocky Boy's way better personally. Because I play going second. Inspector Border does nothing going second, really. Like when your opponent has Pendulum, you know, XYZ, Synchro, and Link. It just, even Danger Thunder, Fusion, Synchro, Link, you know what I mean? Like, and XYZ. It's just, you know, Amano's the way to go for me, and I feel like there's no bad matchup. Every deck needs monster effects, no matter what it is, even if it's Altergeist, even if it's Sky Strikers. They need monster effects. You need Kagari, you need Ray, you know, you need Multi-Faker. Like, it just, there's really no bad matchup in my personal opinion. And he just doesn't care about combo decks. Like, they're a toilet and he just sits on them and poops on them. So 3 Amanos. Yes, I play 3. I know the deck has draw power, but I still play 3 because this is one of the most This is one of the most important cards to draw in my deck, and it's one of the main inspirations for the going second list. I played 3 Ignis, but he's not actually my favorite Draco. My favorite has always been Maiden, because she's any of them. And I love getting all 3 of them on field. That's always been my goal playing my Dracos, is to set up reactive plays and also put my opponent under a shared ride. And the shared ride of this deck is literally Ignis, Maiden, and Knuckles. If you have those on field, it's like a shared ride. Your opponent is not going to be able to out-resource you, and you're going to keep plussing. And because these are not once per turn, you can go Maiden for Ignis and then Ignis again. And that's why I like Maiden, because she's any of them anyways. Like, she just gets more bodies on field. Instead of just searching out Ignis in the first place, I like to search out Maiden, then use her to search out Ignis. Like, you guys have always heard me say this over and over in my Draco list. I like Maiden, because she's all of them. I don't, you know, like, that's fine. You don't like her, nobody told you that, you know, you have to like her or have to dislike her, but I love Maiden so much. She's so good. I don't play 3 of her because I already play 9 monsters. And I knew that Ignis was more important at 3 because I play Desires. And while I love Maiden so much, I understand that Ignis is what keeps me in the grind because of Disciples. But still, Maiden's my favorite. So those 9 monsters. And that's it. Now for the spells, which is the bread and butter of the deck. It's pretty gas. So we've got not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 copies of Diagram. You still have 5. If Terraforming was at 3, you know, you'd have 7 diagrams. But we're okay with 5. We have a lot of draw power. Even if there's just 3 diagrams, it's still okay because you have a lot of draw power. But yeah, the 5 diagrams or even 5 Mystic Minds. The deck has 5 Mystic Minds and a ton of draw power to get there, including one of my favorite cards in this deck, which is Duality. Next up, I played 3 copies of Card of Demise. It's one of the most unfair cards in the deck. But if you're, like I said, you have to be unfair, B-E, to beat unfair, B-E-A-T. You have to. You got to do what you got to do, bro. Then next up, we have 3 copies of Engage. Yes, this is True Draco Sky Strikers. As I specified in the community post, it is going second True Draco Sky Strikers. I'm sorry I didn't say that in the beginning, but the profile's title is going to have True Draco Sky Strikers because I do play quite a few Sky Striker cards. We'll get to there when we get there. But right now, the spells that I'm showing you guys are my starter cards. This is a starter card. This can even be a starter card, or it just can be recovery. Like when I got twinned, you know, like evenly, then just activated Card of Demise, got right back into the game. Then we have 3 copies of Pot of Duality. Duality is absolutely a 3-of for me. You know, I know some people go 2, but this is one of my favorite cards in this deck. This is one of the sackiest cards ever. It's the closest thing to adding any card in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! From your deck to your hand that you can play in Dracos. And I also play 3 copies of Desires. Live and die by this card. I love it at 3, especially my Draco list. I know some people don't, but, you know, it's my list, and it works. Next up for the True Draco's spells, we have 3 copies of Heritage and 3 Disciple. This is why I feel like this deck doesn't really struggle with back row. Like, going second against Sky Strikers is pretty easy. Not only because you already have the blowout cards like Anchors and Evenlies and Afterburners and, you know, like those cards. And you have a mono to stop Ray and you can just, like, kill other back rows. It's the fact that, like, you can do it on your turn and on your opponent's turn. Like, systematically just clearing their board. So I do think this deck has a great Sky Striker matchup. These cards are really good. They obviously they also draw. Heritage has been so good going second. Like Heritage for 3 happens so often. Just my own cards getting negated, like summoning Knuckles, trying to attack, activating effect because they chained the Heretic, and I'm activating effect, then they negate it with the Jackal, and I'm like, okay, Heritage for 3 now. Do you have a response? And so like I'll activate Heritage, they'll negate the activation. I'm like, all right, cool. Activated another Heritage. Heritage for 3 now. Do you like? Oh, you didn't respond to activation. All right, effect. And I also, again, it's reactive as opposed to proactive, so I also play 2 copies of Strike. Now, there are some proactive cards in the deck. I play the Mystic Mons, the Amados, and also the Monarchs Erupt. I wanted to stop monster effects. That's pretty much the only proactive aspect of the deck, but almost everything about it's reactive, and that's what I like more. It's more fun for me than playing Protect the Castle, and that's what most Draco players do these days is Protect the Castle. Me, I'm trying to be more unfair than you, and I just want you to play Solitaire, go full combo, think you're going to style on me just to lose anyways. I love that feeling. Like when your opponent can't say, oh, I bricked. No, you didn't, bro. You did the best that your deck can do and you still lost. I really enjoy that feeling. It's gratifying. The 2 strikes, it negates Evenlies, it negates cards like Twin Twister. It also conveniently, going second, negates Colossus, and it also negates other cards that are in your way. The fact is, it's a hot red by itself that lets you draw. And continuing... yeah, that's a lot. That's a whole lot. Let me go ahead and, actually, let's do this. Let's do this really fast, because I do want it to look nice and organized. So let me get these out the way really fast, because you guys are going to see the rest. Obviously, you still haven't seen the Sky Striker, Engage targets yet, so we're getting there, but for presentation, I like my cards to be this way. So let me see something really quick. Hold on. There. 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 And the dualities, give me 1 second, please. The dualities there, and then it was Heritages there, and then Disciples, and then the Strikes. Okay, that's a little bit better. And then, of course, we're playing Mystic Mine. I think in every going second deck, I'm always going to play Mystic Mine. Because when you go second, you have to basically tell your opponent it's okay for them to try to cheese you and try to, you know, tell you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! And you have to play cards that say they can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Either. Otherwise, there's really no balanced way to stop them. I mean, even with the godly True Draco hand, with like you have like Demise and Duality and Desires, and you have like Knuckles, and you resolve Heritage, Disciples, Apocalypse, and Returns Graveyard effects, it's still not enough for certain decks. It's not. So you need cards like Mystic Mind. I do main deck the Dark Ruler No Mores as well. So there's a ton of ways that this deck can beat combo. In fact, I would say True Dracos by themselves are already so good against strikers and stun decks and back row decks in general that its main issue was struggling against combo decks that just rip your cards out of your hand and tell you you can't play and tell you you can't search. Well, you got a mono, Mystic Mind, Dark Ruler No More, and you have the Monarchs Erupt. So you have a ton of cards to say no. So I really felt that was one of the main reasons why I went undefeated, because I didn't even go to Game 3 with this deck. There was no Game 3. We played also 3 copies of Widow Anchor as engaged targets. I played multi-roll. I really loved the multi-roll in this deck because it said you couldn't Ash my Demise, you couldn't negate the activation of my Mind Control. Like, if I activated this card and they didn't negate the activation and I just used this effect, like, it's pretty much like, wow, you have to have Endymion or Don Dragster now. Like, and for Danger Thunder, it's super hard for them to play around this card because you have so many ways to just bait their stuff. It's easy. Tributed Trap, pop the Hot Red. Literally, like, all that's left is Hope Harbinger. It's pretty sad. So multi-roll is very unfair. Also, it gives you more consistent follow-ups when you're going second. So when you're activating engages and anchors, and also the afterburners, you get multi-roll and in-phase to set your back rows again. And this deck gets so much advantage, it's really crazy. Like, you'll never have enough back row to set all your cards to resolve Demise. I was always discarding numerous cards off Demise because there was nowhere else to play them. Every additional Tribute Summon got resolved. Every Draco monster's out on the field. Every diagram's been activated. There's 5 back rows, and I have 3 cards in hand. I have to discard them. It's that good. And then that's it for the spell, so it's pretty gas. For traps, I played 3 copies of Evenly Matched because I'm going second, and Evenly's good against everything. I played 3 copies of Erupt. It's so funny when you evenly Sky Striker players. They're like, multi-roll, set 3 on the in-phase, and you just evenly them. They keep their 1 multi-roll, you pop it. It's sad. Yeah, this card's 1 for 5. Erupt, even though I'm going second, I need more consistent follow-up, so if I can't completely OTK them, but I can break their board, I can make sure that they don't try to cheese their way back into the victory. Then I played 3 copies of Apocalypse and 1 Return. These are the best traps in the deck, hands down. Yes, the deck list is way more than 40 cards. Have I ever played 40 cards? Not really, no. Everybody thinks that you have to play 40 cards, otherwise it's not correct. I guess they're definitely going to have to reevaluate that, because whoever made that rule up, that's not a rule. That's just a fear of inconsistency. People think that more than 40 bricks, or they feel they won't draw their combo pieces if they play more than 40. Well, put more draw power in your deck, enable more deck thinning capabilities, make sure the cards that you put in actually make a difference and matter, so that you have multiple ways to do the same thing, as opposed to playing 40 and just hoping that you draw that one. I'm not really big on the you have to play 40 thing. I don't know who made that rule up, but that's not a rule, and it shouldn't be. So that's it for the main deck. For the extra, I played 3 copies of Shark Cannon. This is my favorite Sky Striker spell, and I love this card. I sided in for going first, and in certain matchups, I sided in going second as well, but I love it going first. It just gives me more interruptions. What I was doing to keep my Sky Striker cards live, and another cute thing I was doing with Mystic Mind, is whenever my opponent had the same amount of monsters as me, I would use Apocalypse to pop my own Draco so that I control no monsters and Mystic Mind stays. I applied that to my Sky Striker cards too, where I would go Apocalypse, and it's good when you have Return because you can go in-phase Return, but I'll go Apocalypse, kill my own Draco monster. I have no monsters in my main zone, so Mystic Mind can't be destroyed by its own effect, and then all my Sky Striker back row is live, like my Shark Cannons, because you want to use this on your opponent's turn as a reactive combo piece, and I love the fact that I can steal their Ding Girsu. Shark Cannon for Dingirsu, guess what? He gets his effect because he's special summoned. Because you can only special summon once, but guess what? I get to special summon him too, because I get to special summon him as well. I can take your Hot Red. I can True Draco Apocalypse, Trivia Apocalypse, pop your Hot Red, use Shark Cannon on your turn to bring back your Hot Red to negate your own cards. It's just so much, like, I can take their boss monsters. The fact that I kill them and then take them from them is what's so much more funny, because it's like, I literally took it from you. I got rid of it and then brought it back. And I just love Shark Cannon. It's absolutely hands down my favorite Sky Striker card. It's so good, man. I know it's not your typical Draco deck, and I'm pretty sure everybody's like, where's your floodgates at? But I feel like the only one I really need is just Erupt. That's it. But to each his own. I also played the Shared Rides, again, reactive as opposed to proactive. It's a really good card to side in going first. Again, this deck just plus is so ridiculously hard. It's ridiculous. Like, this also is another card that pretty much can stop a turn. So I like impactful one-ups that just literally by themselves do so much that it's totally worth the investment. And then more reactive cards, I played Crackdowns instead of like anti-spells and, you know, there can only be ones and stuff. And I played the 3 Judgments and the Warning to stop Dinko. Judgment also helps to counter reboots and evenlies and twins. But you also have Strike of the Monarch for evenly and Strike of the Monarch for twins. So it's like, I have more draw power than most decks, and I also have literally like 6 outs for all the cards that people say would kill this deck. And then I played 1 Domain and 1 Metaltron. In certain matchups, I sided these in going first because this is an auto win against certain decks that just can't, like, it's really hard for strikers to make Boil Sword when there's nothing in your grave for them to heat up, and there's nothing for them to whittle because you can't whittle this. And you just keep this as the only monster in your field. You have a Domain up. If they pop the Domain, they still have to deal with this. But I love Domain of the Monarchs. I've always played it in Draco's. Look at my channel. You'll never see a list without it. I'm telling you that much right now. I've been playing this ever since Draco's came out. Like, Domain has always been a good card. I don't know why Draco player. If I see it not in a list, that's the one question I'll ask. I wouldn't say, oh, you have to, but I just always would ask, why no Domain? And most people be like, because you don't need it. And I'm like, okay. I mean, you're playing There Can Only Be One. I'd rather just tell them they can't use their extra deck, TBH. I feel like no extra deck in today's metagame. It's just like game by itself. So yeah, that's my list, you guys. Thank you so much for watching the profile. I appreciate you guys who are still up right now. I'm sorry that the upload's gonna be so late, but again, it was out of my control, dude. I didn't know I was gonna get off this late, but thank you guys so much again. God bless you guys. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content as always. I will be uploading again sometime soon with a Zephyr list for you guys, but I changed it up again, so the list I'm updating isn't even the list I'm playing anymore. I can't keep my deck the same. But yeah, you guys have a wonderful night. Peace out, yo.